Sorry about that. Thank you for joining us today. Just before I get started with the content, a few logistical items. If you do have questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to ask those either via the question tab, you can write them in, or you can use the hand raise feature and we will unmute you to ask your question over the air. Whichever works for you works for us. We just want to make sure that any and all questions you have are answered. So with that, I'm excited to introduce Mass CEC's Vocational Internship Program. This is a program that we piloted last year and are now rolling out to all vocational schools in Massachusetts for the 2019-2020 academic year. On screen now, you'll see some of the goals for the program. Really, this program came about because we identified at Mass CEC that you folks and the technical trades here in Massachusetts needed more support to join into the clean energy industry. And we thought and hoped that by modeling this program off of our existing internship program, we would be able to replicate some of the successes that we've had with that program. Primarily, we want to provide opportunities for students at vocational high schools to have career pathways and to learn about the clean energy industry at an early age to hopefully spark an interest and contribute to that sector down the road and throughout their career. So, just a little more background on the program. Our 2017 industry report identified that there was really significant difficulty in hiring for employers of technical clean energy jobs here in Massachusetts. And so the workforce development team here rolled out a pilot program with the 4 schools you see on the screen in the hopes of beginning, as I said before, to really build that pipeline and create more opportunity and more access for students in vocational schools to find employment with clean energy companies. So starting this year and beyond, the program will be open to all vocational high schools in Massachusetts. So some general logistics and framework of the program. So this program is designed to really support the existing co-op structures that you have at your school. Really, whatever you do right now, we want to support that. We want to make this program as easy as possible for you to use. So if that means that you have a structure where students on co-op go to class for a week and then work for a week, that works for us. If you do a structure where it's half days in the classroom and half days at the on the job site, that works too. Really, as long as it works for your school and the employer that hires your student, it works for us. We don't want to reinvent the wheel here. We don't want to we don't want to make this more difficult than it has to be. We really want to be a value add for both you folks and for the industry as a whole. So with that being said, we are excited to announce today that we've launched our database. That database will administer the program. It'll be how you match up with employers and get the funding, and they get the funding reserved from Mass CEC to support their internships. We'll do later in the presentation, I'll do a walkthrough of this database and how you folks use it to sort of outline, just to really show you that it's not super scary. It's not anything super hard to use. It's very, we think it's very intuitive, and we're very excited for it. So I'll get to that later. But for now, the general structure of the program is that starting today, you're welcome to sign up your students in the database and begin to look for employers and employment. The internships will be for the 2019-2020 academic year, and the employers that hire your students will be reimbursed up to $7,680 per student, and that roughly translates out to $12 an hour, working 40 hours a week over the academic year. So You're probably wondering what steps you have to take to get your students signed up. So initially, the co-op coordinators will go into the database and create an account, or create a profile rather, for their students. Again, I'll show you how to do that shortly, but you'll go in and you'll input their information, which really includes things like their resume, what they're interested in, where they're available to work, and then your contact information. And now that's an important point. You'll need to put in your own contact information because, as you probably know, we can't be posting high school students' personal information online. So that's where you come in. You'll input your own contact information, and employers will contact you, and you'll really be the go-between for the students and the employers, which to our understanding is the role you play now, and we really want to continue to support that and the great work that you folks do. So once you've completed that list, once you've completed the profile for your student, you'll be granted access to our list of employers. Right now, the list is a little bit short, only because we've just launched this database and there hasn't been a ton of time for employers to sign up for the program. So if you do come across employers that you think would be eligible for the program, please refer them to the database and ask them to sign up. Because just because they're not in the database right now does not mean that they cannot be in the database. It probably means they don't know about it and they haven't heard about the program. So really, we encourage you to go out and tell employers that you're talking to separately about the program and give them the link to the database to get them situated with the program. So once you have found an employer and a job that you think is a good fit for your student, you'll be able to schedule and set up an interview and work to hopefully get your student hired and get an offer letter sent and signed. When there is an offer being made, the offer letter will need to be signed by the employer, the student, and you, the co-op coordinator, to affirm that they are eligible for co-op and able to work at this company. So that's another important role that you folks have to play, is that you will need to sign the offer letter, basically ensuring that the student is eligible and able to work by your school standards. So now I do want to open up, before we hop into the demonstration with the database, I do want to open up the floor for questions, anything that folks might have. My contact information is on screen. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me after the presentation. We will, follow up as quickly and as promptly as possible. But if there are any questions that folks have now, please, I'd like to open the floor to you guys. So I'm not seeing a ton of any, here come a couple, but I would also just, if this sounds like something that's interesting, if there's anything, if it sounds like something you'd be interested in participating, if you could just throw a little comment in the question box to let us know that this is something that, you think is good, that you think would be helpful, that would be great for us to hear as well. So one question I'm seeing is asking about the start date for the program. It's a great question. It is our hope that you folks and your students will be able to work out and find employers while you're still in school this spring, with an anticipated start date of this coming September. Hopefully be able to hit the ground running when the school year starts in September. However, we will be supporting approximately 50 internships this calendar year, or this academic year rather. So if it does take a little bit longer into the school year for your student to find an internship and start working, that's just fine as well. And sorry, just to clarify, those internships would run from September until May or June, whenever the end of your school calendar is. I'm seeing another question about co-ops that only run for a single semester and whether or not that would be supported. That's definitely something we're happy to support. Really, like I said earlier in the presentation, as long as whatever your existing co-op structure is, that's what we want to support. So if it's only one semester, only the fall, only the spring, whatever, that is all good with us. That's definitely something we're able to support. So another question I'm seeing is the link for the database. That was on an earlier slide. The best address to give them is masscec.com/internships. Again, masscec.com/internships. So this program is available for all Chapter 74 vocational schools in Massachusetts. So if your school falls into that category, you are absolutely eligible to participate. I'm seeing a question in regards to employer reimbursements. It's a good one. You will probably be asked throughout the recruitment process how the employers will want to know how they'll be reimbursed. So really what you can tell them is that when they do register and get approved through the program, we will send them instructions outlining all of how they're reimbursed. But really the main point is that they're able to be reimbursed twice during the academic year, once in January and then once again at the end of the year. So they have to front the money, but they're able to get that money back once in January and then the rest of it in June, as long as they provide full documentation of the hours worked and the wage paid to that student. I'm seeing a question about if when you're going through the database, you'll be able to filter jobs by the city or town. So at this time, we're still working to provide a full search functionality for the co-op coordinators. However, you will be able to sort the cities and towns alphabetically, and you can then scroll to the area that your student is able to work and view job descriptions that are all in that area, whether it be Boston or Central Mass or any of a variety of regions. You will be able to again search the location of the jobs alphabetically and then find the area. We are, I will say, and I'll reiterate this when I do the database overview, but the database is still a work in progress, and it is definitely improved over the prior system and upgraded to accommodate you folks. However, if you do come across bugs or things that aren't working, please let me know. We're still very much actively working to improve the database, and any and all suggestions and difficulties that you have, we really want to hear about those so that we can make a strong effort to fix them as quickly as possible. I'm seeing another question about start date, and really is if a student, needs to start later in the year in November or December, that's fine. That's something that we really leave up to you, the co-op coordinator, and the employer to work out. If if that timeline works for the employer, then it absolutely works for us. That's not something that we want to be restrictive about. We want to be as accommodating as possible when it comes to supporting these internships. So the best way for interested employers to get signed up is to go to that masscec.com/internships link. And from there, they'll be able to submit a profile that outlines their company, and they'll post a job description and other essential information. And from there, our team will review those applications to ensure that they are indeed clean energy companies, that they're able to pay your interns, that they're located here in Massachusetts, and a few other criteria that we have. So once those employers are approved by our team, they'll be given access to the full database and be able to look at your students and reach out to you and see your contact information. So I do want to be respectful of folks' time. So I'm going to take one more question, and then everything else we will definitely be following up via email. If you've logged your question in through the chat box, we have it on file, and we can definitely follow up. But I do want to move along here. So I'll answer one more question just about the specific requirements of employers to participate in the program. As I was saying before, a company needs to be located, have an office here in Massachusetts. They need to be able to provide proof that they can compensate your interns up front and then receive the reimbursement later. And they also need to be an eligible clean energy employer. So the way we define clean energy is a company that's involved in clean energy generation. So think something like wind or solar or hydropower. A company that's involved in energy efficiency, so more efficient HVAC, more efficient lighting, insulation, anything sort of in that category. And then companies that are also involved with things like clean transportation or wastewater work and greening that process a little bit. These are all areas that we would support. So an employer to be eligible in the program needs to be doing work in that space, and specifically the intern's work needs to be involved in that space. So even if they are, an HVAC company, if the intern is going to be doing work, that's not really related to the energy efficiency side of things, that's not so much going to fly. It needs to be a clean energy company and work related to clean energy. So conversely, if the company is not a traditional clean energy company, but is looking to get into this sector more, and the internship they can provide proof that the internship would be focused on clean energy work, that is another type of internship that we would support. So please keep the questions coming in the chat box. Again, like I said, we will follow up to and address all of those questions after the webinar. However, for right now, I'm going to transition into the database walkthrough and just give a quick overview of how that process works for you folks. So the page that I'm on right here, if you put in masscec.com/internships in your address bar, it'll redirect you to this page here. And the best way to go ahead and get started, under the How Do I Apply tab, you're going to want to go to Step 1, complete the online intern application. And when you click that, it'll take you here to the portal. So you folks will be signing up as co-op coordinators. So if you go ahead and click that, you'll see this is our account creation area. So you'll want to give yourself the username. I'll just do a nice test there. Put in your email address. This would, presumably be your work email. I'm just going to do a dummy email for now. You want to create a password. Make sure it's secure. We have a little bar there to make sure everything matches up. And then just go ahead and put in your name. And hit enter. So once you are successfully logged in, it'll take you to this page here, which is where you'll be able to view here right now. You'll be able to view the clean energy companies that sign up and are looking for high school interns will be listed under the intern sponsors headline. Like I said, since we just opened the database today, we haven't had a ton of employers sign up, specifically not employers that are looking to hire vocational students, but we expect this list to really expand in the next, as short as a week as we start really pushing out the database link and getting more and more folks aware of this great program. And again, I'll reiterate and stress that you folks referring employers that you talk to and sharing this with your network would be hugely, hugely helpful for us in growing this database. So we are running a webinar later today for our employers. We have 62 employers registered for that webinar. So, once we go through that and tell them about the program and how to get signed up, we expect this list to start filling out rather quickly. So for your purposes, what I want to draw your attention to is this fill out the form link. That's where you're going to want to go to sign up one of your students. So you'll go ahead and click that, and that will redirect you to the student submission form. Once it loads, it looks like this. You'll want to scroll down, and here's where you'll fill in your student information. So this is where you'll put in their information, their name. You'll want to put your own phone number because, like I said earlier, we don't want to post, we're not allowed and cannot post high school students' information online. So you'll want to put your own phone number, your own email address. Again, this is just a dummy email that I'm using, so please do not try to reach me at this one. And then your school location. The next part is where you'll indicate which areas your students are available to work in. So one thing I do want to point out here is that we understand that transportation can definitely be a limiting factor for some folks and to get to some employers if students don't have cars or what have you. So we do want to point out that we will have a small portion of funding available to potentially work on an alternative solution if we need to get students from point A to point B, work on those logistics. If you are running into issues with that, please reach out to us. We're happy to schedule a call and try to work out a way to make sure that we can get students to their jobs. We really don't want transportation to be a barrier and are committed to working with you to figure out a solution that works for everybody. So please, if you are running into that, please reach out to us and let us know, and we can figure out a way to try to get around that. So back to the form here, you'll just, you can check as many or as few of these as you want, or as are accurate. Next part, we just ask, how did you hear about the program? That's something that, we track for our metrics and is very helpful for us. Demographic wise, we ask that you fill out the demographics of your student. Again, this information is not made public. It's solely for our internal metrics tracking, and if for whatever reason your student is undeclared or chooses not to say, we do have that issue. That selection is an option, and please do not feel uncomfortable about posting that. That's something that we want to be as inclusive as possible here. So please, be accurate. But if there's anything there, please do not hesitate to choose that option. Here we ask that you input which school you're from and your year of graduation. And then scrolling down here, you can list your fields of interest. So you can choose as many of these. You need to pick at least one, but you can choose as many of these as are applicable. If you hold down the control button on your keyboard, you'll be able to select more than one and unselect more than one. Here we have, in addition to fields of interest, we ask that you list the different job types that your student is interested in. Again, the same rule goes. You can select as many or as few as you'd like. Moving along, this credentials section is an area, right now, it's not what we want it to be. We are working, again, as I mentioned, the database is still a work in progress, and we're doing our best to get everything up and updated and accurate as quickly as possible. So for now, please just select the top option, the first one, and we'll be sending out an email and periodically with updates to the system. So for now, please just list any credentials that the students have here in this other specializations text box. Please just list whatever it is, whatever credentials your students may have, and we're working on updating this as quickly and accurately as possible. Same goes here for specializations. Please just select whichever are accurate, again, using the shift button. If you'd like to select more, to select as many or as few are applicable. Lastly, we ask that students put in a cover letter in 1,000 characters or less, just sort of explaining why they're interested in the industry, what they can provide to a company, what kind of experience and credentials they may have. That's sort of a free form area to put whatever you like. And then here we ask that you upload both a resume and a transcript. I'm just going to choose, they do need to be in PDF file, so I'm just going to choose a random PDF here, and then you'll click upload. And the resume will be displayed to the employers. However, the transcript is solely for Mass CEC's internal use. Solely for Mass CEC's internal use to determine student eligibility. So that will not be displayed to employers. And then we ask here an optional checkbox to allow Mass CEC to share your resume with employers outside the program. That's up to you if you want to allow that. And then we have two checkboxes here for the legal language for the program. If you'd like to preview your results, you can click preview. Otherwise, you'll hit save. Oh, I forgot to add a cover letter. Then you'll hit save. And once you do that, you'll get a green check mark that your submission has been created, and you'll be able to view your intern submissions right here in your dashboard and be able to edit or withdraw the application for any students. So that's really how the database works. We think it's pretty straightforward and very user-friendly. We're very excited about it and think that, again, as I've said, though, if you do run into difficulties, please let me know. we'll be eager to get those updated and fixed as quickly as possible. So with that, I will once again open the floor for questions, this time about the database. Please go ahead and raise your hand or use the question checkbox at this time. So I'm seeing a question about personal information on transcripts, and that's something that the employers are not able to view. That's something that only Mass CEC looks at, and we do not release that information. We won't post it anywhere or anything like that. The transcript is solely for our internal use to verify eligibility. Yep. So since we are sharing resumes on the website, please, for the contact information of the student, please make sure that is the school contact info. So you're listing the school address and not the student's home address. You're listing the school's phone number, the co-op, ideally the co-op coordinator's phone number, and not the student's personal information. Mario, we saw your question about having some difficulty applying as an employer. We'll follow up with you offline after the presentation, and we'll get that worked out. So if you run into issues with distributing transcripts for your students, we see your question, and we will absolutely follow up with you after this to work out a solution that works for both parties. Yep. So if you have an employer that you know would be interested in participating in the webinar later today, just send a question into our chat box, and then we'll follow up afterwards with you to give you the link to that webinar so that you can share it with the employer. If you're looking for a one-pager on the program with just basic information about how it works and an outline, we can absolutely share that with you. We have that collateral, and we'll follow up with you. We'll send that around to all registrants and attendees for the webinar afterwards, just so that you have it on file and can easily share it if you need to. Again, the link to get to this page, and I'll just go ahead and type it in here. If you go masscec.com/internships, that'll take you to this page right here, and then you'll go to the How Do I Apply tab and click this Online Intern Application button. So if a company is based in another state, in order to be eligible for the program, they do need to be registered to do business in Massachusetts. So again, it's not a no just because they're in another state, but they do need to be registered in Massachusetts and registered to do business here in order to participate. Auto repair and any type of maintenance on electric vehicles or hybrids would absolutely qualify for the program. Yep. So again, we see a question about juniors applying for the program, and if again, we want to support the existing structure of your co-op. So if your school enables juniors to go on co-op, they would absolutely be able to participate. That's absolutely something that we would allow. So in regards to summer internships, this program is specifically meant to support hands-on work experience and ideally through the co-op program. So that's something that we really want to focus on, the academic year co-op programs and internships that take place during that time frame. So as far as saving the documents as a PDF, if you've set up a cover letter or a resume in Microsoft Word and you go to save the file, if you click save and then instead of just hitting the save button or Control S, if you hit save as, you can then go to the document file type. There will be two lines, one for a name and one for the file type. The file type should say Word. If you click in that box, there will be an option to select PDF, and then if you select PDF and hit save, it'll save it as a PDF, and then you'll be able to upload it to the database. If you're having issues with that, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to walk you through it further. Alrighty, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in. Again, we will be following up via email to all registrants and attendees with the one-pager and with some of the other information that you folks have requested. So with that, I just want to thank you for taking part in our webinar today. I really appreciate your time and attention, and we hope to see some of you starting to sign up your students and reaching out to employers. And again, my contact information is on the screen. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us with any questions at any time. We really think this has the opportunity to be a great program and really achieve a lot of great things here in Massachusetts. Thanks, and have a nice day, everyone.